All right, welcome back. So today, we're going to put on our detective hats and solve a really common household mystery, water damage. We're going to look at how a simple stain, that little brown spot on the ceiling, can be a clue to a much bigger story. We'll figure out how to trace that story all the way back to the real culprit. Okay, let's jump right into the investigation.
So, you find a water stain. What's the first thing you think? Aha, the leak must be right there, right? Case closed. But what if I told you that's almost always wrong? If you just go ahead and patch that stain, you're pretty much guaranteed to be missing the real story. See, in the world of water damage forensics, that stain, it's not the end of the investigation. Heck, it's barely the beginning.
And this quote really nails it, doesn't it? The stain is usually where the story ends, not where it starts. Think about it. That visible damage, that's just the final scene of the crime. Our job, as detectives, is to rewind the whole tape and figure out where this thing really began. And, spoiler alert, it's almost never where you think.
Okay, Section 1, the mysterious stain. So let's treat that stain exactly like our first crime scene. It's giving us a clue, yeah, but it's definitely not the whole picture. To solve this, you gotta switch your thinking from a repair person to a full-on investigator.
You gotta think of water like a fugitive on the run. It's kind of lazy. It's always looking for the easiest escape route. It doesn't just drop straight down. No way. It'll travel along all these hidden pathways. It'll hug a pipe, run along a beam, even follow an electrical wire until it finds the perfect low spot to pool up and eventually show itself as that stain on your ceiling.
So, if our water is a fugitive, what's our next move? Well, we have to follow its hidden pathway. It's time to figure out its escape route, trace those hidden paths, and find out where it's really coming from.
And this right here, this is the key concept for our whole investigation, the water pathway. Seriously, understanding this idea is what separates a wild guess from a real diagnosis. We're not looking at the stain anymore. Forget the stain for a second. We are looking for the invisible highway that the water took to get to the stain.
Okay, Section 3, the investigator's toolkit. Now, every good detective needs a toolkit, right? But here, it's not really about fancy gadgets and moisture meters. It's about having a systematic process, a way of thinking based on observation and just plain old logic.
And this is our roadmap. This is the forensic protocol. So first, you analyze the stain pattern. Does it have those tide marks that show it's gotten wet and dried out over and over? Step 2, correlate the timing. Does it show up only after a big storm or maybe every single time someone takes a shower upstairs? See? Then you map the potential travel routes, differentiate the source types, and assess the moisture. Every single step is a crucial piece of the puzzle.
So one of the first really big questions you have to ask is the culprit an insider or an outsider? Is the call coming from inside the house, like a leaky pipe, a toilet, an appliance, or is it an external job, something like rain finding its way in, or even groundwater? Just figuring this one thing out can narrow your search down like a lot.
Next up, we gotta figure out if we're dealing with a cold case or a live one. Is this a historic problem or an active one? If the stain is totally bone dry, maybe the crime happened a long time ago and it's already solved. But if that area is damp to the touch, whoa, now you've got an active situation, a crime in progress, and the clock is officially ticking.
But here's the thing. The most powerful tool you have, it isn't some fancy gadget. It's your brain. It's all about elimination logic. You systematically test and rule out all the potential sources. Is it the roof? No. Okay. Is it the upstairs bathroom? Nope. What about the HVAC unit? Also no. By doing this, you're closing in on the real culprit. It's that classic Sherlock Holmes move, right? Once you get rid of everything that's impossible, whatever is left, no matter how unlikely it seems, has to be the truth.
All right, Section 4, building the case. So, after we've gone through this whole protocol, what's the point? What have we actually accomplished? Well, we're not just guessing anymore. We are building a rock-solid case based on actual evidence, and that leads to some really, really good outcomes.
And just look at the payoff. This is why it all matters. You identify the true source, which means you're fixing the actual problem, not just painting over a symptom. You get evidence-linked conclusions, which means you have proof when you talk to your insurance company or a contractor. You know exactly what to do next. And the big one? You stop wasting time and money on unnecessary repairs. It's all about stopping the guesswork.
But okay, we do have to be realistic here. This is an important note. Sometimes, just like in a real detective show, the key piece of evidence is hidden behind a wall. You can't see through drywall or tile. So a visual inspection can only get you so far. It can point you to the most likely culprit for sure, but getting that final confirmation, well, that might mean you have to open things up a bit.
Okay, on to our final section, the verdict. Because when you do this investigation the right way, you arrive at a verdict. You followed the hidden pathways. You used your logic. You built the case. You didn't just find a stain, you found the source. And that brings us to the most critical question of all. So, what's the real cost of getting this wrong? What happens when you just skip the whole investigation and jump to a conclusion? What's the price you pay for that misdiagnosis?
In this quote, man, it just says it all. Fixing the wrong leak is the most expensive mistake. And it's so true. It's not just about the money you waste on the wrong repair. It's the time, the frustration, and maybe, worst of all, the damage that's still happening behind the walls while you think the case is closed. So next time you see a water stain, just remember, you are not looking at the end of the story. You're looking at clue number 1.